You know, we tend to gloss over the great state of New Mexico. It's one of the most picturesque, spectacularly beautiful states in our nation. And sadly and regrettably, it's one of the most neglected states in our nation. Now we have to rewind the clock back 6 years ago, because that's when this real insidious attack against the state of New Mexico and all New Mexicans began. A lot of Americans don't know this, but this is a fact. According to the former president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, New Mexico, the entire state of New Mexico, was blackballed by President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump. He blackballed the entire state. Didn't provide funding nor resources for New Mexico. Now, did New Mexico get some funding? Yes. But they got the bare minimum. And this, according to Jared Kushner, was done purposefully. And you're not going to believe the reason why this was done. Because it's so unpresidential. It's also so un-American. The reason New Mexico was starved out of resources, whether we're talking farm aid, whether we're talking wildlife preservation resources, anything you can imagine, New Mexico was starved of it for 4 years under Donald Trump. The reason why this occurred, and this is according to the former president's son-in-law, so you don't have to take my word for it. This is according to Jared Kushner. The reason this happened in New Mexico was because New Mexico overwhelmingly voted in 2016 for Hillary Clinton for president. And because the lunatic from Mar-a-Lago, aka Donald Trump, is all about being transactional, meaning if you do something for him, he'll reward you. If you go against him, he'll be vindictive and punish you. So the entire state of New Mexico was punished because they didn't vote for him in 2016. They were starved of resources. This is a fact. They had a list of states. They called it the Blue State List. And New Mexico was on it. And anytime there was things that needed to get done in New Mexico on the federal level, the president said, don't send the money. They didn't support me. This is how they ran the country. And then they have the nerve and the gall to come before us and tell us, please, put us in charge. We know how to fix the economy. Well, we certainly know you know how to break it. I wouldn't trust anyone that broke the economy to fix it. And that's what the Republican president, Donald Trump, did to New Mexico. He can't show his face in New Mexico. You know that, right? The reservations were starved of resources. The Pueblos were starved of resources. Every New Mexican was hurt because of this action by supposedly the President of the United States. Apparently New Mexico was no longer part of the United States, according to Donald Trump. Now, thank goodness you had a wonderful, great, admirable, hard-working governor in Michelle Lujan Grisham. Because she didn't whine and complain about this. She didn't take the president to court every day about this. What she did as your governor was she rolled up her sleeves and she made tough decisions. One of those decisions was something that not a lot of states have done, that I think was really, really smart and ahead of the curve. And I think many other states will follow. Your governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, decided she wanted to make community college free for all New Mexicans. Let me repeat that. Community college is free in New Mexico for the residents of New Mexico. And then she decided she was going to cut business taxes. The largest business tax cut in the history of New Mexico happened under Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. She prioritized education and small business. Now the Republican will say, oh, there's a little spike in crime in New Mexico. Look, these people are desperate. They'll look for anything to try to paint this narrative that Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is not working tirelessly for all of New Mexicans. They'll look for anything. And so they took out one piece of the data, the one bad part, and they say, look at that. Blame Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham for the spike in crime. What they don't tell you is this. Governor Lujan Grisham was fighting tirelessly for federal resources for mental health treatment in the state of New Mexico. Tirelessly. For the past 4, 5, 6 years now. And guess what? Guess what? It only recently happened under the Biden-Harris administration. You can thank your governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, and your congressional delegation, Melanie Stansberry, your congresswoman out of the 1st Congressional District in New Mexico. They secured $18 million for mental health treatment facilities, holistic approaches. They've been wanting that money for years now. And it was finally delivered under the Biden-Harris administration. So New Mexico is no longer being starved of resources. Now they won't tell you that. Now if someone is starving and hungry, you think crime might go up a little bit? It was the Republican Party, a Republican president, that tried and attempted to starve New Mexicans in the great state of New Mexico simply because they did not agree with their political ideology and the way they voted in a presidential election. He sought to starve them. Now they're getting what they desperately needed years ago. When COVID was a thing, do you think New Mexico got hardly any resources? They didn't. They kept requesting things from the federal government. And they kept being rejected by the president. At the time, the lunatic from Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump. I really want people in Albuquerque to get out and vote. and re-elect Michelle Lujan Grisham. Re-elect your congressional delegation. They fought tirelessly for you. When they were up against enormous and tremendous odds, they continued to fight for you. And they took action at the state level when they couldn't get anything at the federal level. Albuquerque, go out and vote. Knock on doors. Text your friends. This is very important. You really have to keep people who are true public servants serving you. That's what it boils down to. Michelle Lujan Grisham, she shares your values. She had your back. When the federal government was starving you out, I want you to remember who it was that had your back, Albuquerque. It was your governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham. So now is your time to have her back. Re-elect Michelle Lujan Grisham. You're getting what you need now. Now it needs to be implemented correctly. And who do you trust to implement those things correctly? The person who was fighting to get it in the first place? Or the Republican Party that was trying to starve you out? And now that you're getting what you desperately needed years ago, want to tell you, oh, look how bad things are. But they don't want to tell you that they're the culprits for making things bad. You know, small businesses in New Mexico are booming. They really are. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the wildlife being protected in New Mexico. It is. They'll cherry pick the bad things that they're responsible in large part for creating. The Republican Party knew that there was a desperate need for mental health services in New Mexico. So why didn't Donald Trump provide the funding when he was the president? You know why? He wanted to punish New Mexicans for voting for Hillary Clinton. He was being vindictive. He wasn't being president. He was being a bully. And he bullied the great state of New Mexico for 4 years. And Michelle Lujan Grisham had to put up with his bullying, vindictive nature. And now we have a real president doing real things to help New Mexicans. We need Michelle to implement what needed to be done years ago. Now that we're finally getting it. Albuquerque, please vote. Please vote for Michelle Lujan Grisham for governor. Don't fall for what the Republicans are trying to do. If they were concerned about crime, they would have gone to their president and gotten the resources for New Mexico. They didn't. Michelle didn't whine and complain about it. She rolled up her sleeves and she got things done. And in my opinion, she saved New Mexico from being a disaster. A disaster that the federal government under the Trump administration was trying desperately to create. Who tries to ruin a state in their country? A lunatic. That's who. Your governor saved New Mexico. Now go out and vote and save her. Thank you, Albuquerque. I trust that you'll do the right thing. I know you will. Let's take care of business and get it done.